heaven on a piece of string, standing in a meadow of bluebonnets and paintbrush, leashed out to me. This was my lost child, and I told him what he did not know, left my words with him, our covenant, and laid this charge upon him. Speak of this little species that cannot speak for itself. Be gesture, and use the light, and follow it wherever it may lead you, and lead others to it. And though critics may mock you, lovers leave you, and the whole world fall away from you, follow the light into the darkness where all vanishment comes back again. I gave him, this errand boy, this runner and rider, the message, and it rose and was delivered. But he was cut off and left earthbound, and could not rise again to where he had dropped down from, but was dismembered and cast out, untied, to be a wanderer on roads of dirt. Behold, I am he who sold you, bound in leathern thongs to a new master. But, O my brother, I beseech you, remember not my sin against you, and grant me this prayer. Bind me now hand and foot, beat me with strips, shave my head and cast me into prison. Make me suffer all I inflicted on you, and then perchance the Lord will have mercy and forget my great sin that I have committed against him and against you. Come on, wild heart, my wild, wild heart, come on, for there is another country and another language. I came into my life to find it in a kind of darkness until I discovered the record of this little lantern, and I will die too, with the little light in my hand, buried with the little light in the ground. Riding one night, I galloped upon a flock of shining night people under shining trees. It was a festival of some large clan of blood kin. They all had that strong look about them that told they were members of blood. They were beautifully dressed in satins and pongees, and sashes of silk were hung from the delicate trees. Fragile colored lanterns hung in the trees, the moon in the trees too, like one of the lanterns. The breeze was alive, a soft trembling hand roving under and among the silks, all in a smooth pastoral place. The feast was laid out on the ground and covered with the most translucent veil of muslin, showing beneath it the fruit and the victuals and the heaped up pile of riches, but keep the feast from the insect that was already coming down upon it, the flies and bees already hovering in a swarming circle around the edge, and the crawling things had trailed the festival and laid in hordes on the rim of the festival. Put it under glass, save it, this food and this flesh shining under the passing sun. The red and golden drums lie on the ground, and the flutes and winds lie lipless, ungiven. And ungiven or given, the lips will pucker and the lungs will puncture and shrivel, and fingers of flesh for drums will curl and cleave to bone. Yea, dazzle me, round me like wheel of stars. Flash the fireworks on me, blind my eyes, dazzle me. You are all so beautiful. We were on a picnic, they would tell you. The whole flock of us, down by the sandbank at the river on the 4th of July. Suddenly in the woods, walking under the trees, was a figure, and somebody whispered, "It's old Boney Benson." We watched him. Did he want to join us? He did not come any closer, but hovered on the edge of the picnic across the barbed wire fence, just looking to see. We were all food in person, the whole picnic in his eye. What did he want from us? Him, you know who, went to see what Boney Benson might want. He was not afraid of Boney Benson, even took him a biscuit and a drink of water. When he tried to cross the barbed wire fence, he fell upon it and was caught and cut there. Boney Benson helped him off and went away without the water, for the water was spilled, and he did not drop the biscuit and give it safely to Boney Benson. The blood was on his trousers. To us arrives the unanswerable at our door and cries, "Answer," and will not stay or be there to hear when we open the door. Nor can we ever give any answer. The unanswerable is unanswerable. Nor will the unnameable, always hovering over and around us for its name, be ever named. The patched, webbed face of his ghost floats round us, hangs and hovers in our air, lodged in a becalmed kite over us, moored to our hearts that try to send messages up the string to it. Dance, my pretties, laugh, and on I go on the road, the dust at my feet, and you for a moment in the meadow under the silken sashes, shining in the eye of the insect that has it all in the little mirror of his eye. In a grassy corner, humped upon a mossy rock, an old naked man bent over his geometric shape and measured with long forefinger and straddled legs of his compass the secret from his brain and his wild burning eye. He was measured the enigmatic art, my pretties. He was found a figure for the distance between point and point. Within the sharp corner of an angle he has found the little meaning. Come, let us slide into this tiny harbor of angle under the spread length of this old artificer's fingers. Let us be measured and encompassed by this small compass scope. Wild, come on, wild hearts, my wild, wild hearts, come on, under the span of this naked old man's fingers, safe in the shape of his sweet brain of dust. Naked, no shoe for his foot, he is gone to his dark place to stay and meditate until he has his meaning. Horse of dreams with a bowed down head and dust-shot eye, ride me away from this world of grief. Come ride me away, till I have grieved myself free at last, till I have sorrowed myself free, and then where we go it will not matter. We will carry our baby in our arms. We will have our trunk and our baby buggy. That is all we will carry. And on to the road we will go, turn back into our lives that were stolen from us. Move here, move there, hide here, break out there. Oh, will you mock me, destroy me, ghost of light that I follow? So what happened was this. We came onto the wide, strange region lying under a nightfall sky. It was twilight, you understand, although good dark hadn't come yet. On our right was an orchard of wild fruit trees, and the trees were full of white creatures. White, you understand. The pale early moon was the color of the creatures, fowl-like, and it was of their feather. It seemed a white fowl rising from the far bush, the moon did, in the color of distance, blue. There stood the trees abloom with white creatures, only the glimmer of last daylight lingering over the roan-colored grasses. And in the background of the scrawly trees were like marks scrawled on a dark wall. There were 4 of us, you understand, on horseback. The three Tilson boys and me. I was on King's back. He was going after it too, riding after it, what I had seen so many times. I could but finally follow it. This was what we were going after, this gentle and curious light that was now following a straight path along the ground and tumbling on as if it was a lighted ball of weed. And if I could tell you, I would regale you with telling how this light had come up tattered out of the ground and wound itself into this ball and started rolling along. And if I could describe you it, I would do it, and how this radiant object shed the most delicate and pure, clear illumination on little things in its path and along both sides, so that what it showed us who followed was the smallest detail of the world, the frail eternal life of the ground, the whiskers of a field mouse, the linked bones of the jointed feet of a hidden sleeping bird, a clear, still white tincture of dew hanging like a fallen star on a blade of grass, a hairy worm on a stem like one lost eyebrow, the hued crescent of the shell of a slowed snake like a small, pale, falling rainbow. So following this ghostly little lamp of light, we came of a sudden into this unearthly landscape, the one I've told you about with the white beans. We knew the country, you understand. Our ancestors had broken it as wilderness and started all their seed there. My grandfathers and their fathers, me and all my blood kin, children and children's children. We descendants thought we had measured and blazed it all. But there is always some unknown part of all that is known, and we had stumbled into it, following this light. And I knew my ancestors had followed this light. It was that ancient thing, this light, and they had ridden behind it, over branch and pasture, thicket and prairie, from supper to sunrise, when they saw it sink into the ground. There are the records to prove it, for these old men made records, stopping to put down what happened, even as I am doing. Around us were disorder, rancor, words gone sour in the mouth like persimmons, thoughts turned rotten in the minds, crops eaten, droughts and floods, poorly wives, and evil chants of children. But when we saw this light, we left the worst behind and followed to see what it was, that it might show us what our sorrow meant.
Awesome. Come here, buddy. Same as him.